In Chapter 1, Aly, a seasoned trauma nurse, encounters Brindley, a new nurse struggling after a difficult shift involving a patient with a fatal shotgun wound. Aly notices Brindley's shock and takes immediate steps to comfort her, providing a blanket, chamomile tea, and introducing her to the hospital's mental health resources. With help from Tanya, a senior nurse, Aly reassures Brindley about her performance and ultimately offers her a ride home. Once home, Aly reflects on her own grueling shift and ongoing challenges in maintaining a personal life. After attempting to reignite a casual relationship with Tyler, she discovers their relationship has faded. Aly resolves to focus on balancing her demanding job and personal well-being, recognizing the toll the trauma center takes on her emotional health. In Chapter 2, Tyler reveals to Josh that he finally ended things with Aly after months of silence. However, when Tyler shows Josh a recent message from Aly, it includes a screenshot from one of Josh's secret mask-themed social media videos. Josh panics, realizing his hidden online life is at risk of being exposed. While pretending to be casual, he deletes the text before Tyler notices the connection. Josh reflects on his complex feelings toward Aly, their brief encounter over the summer, and his obsessive tendencies rooted in his family's dark history. As Tyler leaves for the gym, Josh struggles to reconcile his desire to maintain anonymity with his growing fascination for Aly. After hacking into Aly's private account, Josh discovers she's been following and engaging with his masked content. He's conflicted by his feelings and begins to question the extent of his obsession, ultimately deciding to monitor Aly's interest while keeping his secret safe. In Chapter 3, Aly experiences a chaotic shift at the ER, noting an unusual pattern of reckless accidents across the city. While taking a brief break, she talks with her colleague Tanya about the strange night and about their new co-worker Brindley, who appears to be adjusting after a rough start. Despite the intense day, Aly finds herself distracted by a new video from the Faceless Man, a social media creator she's been obsessively watching. The video, featuring his signature mask and a haunting aesthetic, stirs her desire, even as she tells herself to focus. When her shift ends and she returns home, Aly discovers the Faceless Man's mask lying on her bed. Overwhelmed, she struggles to rationalize the situation, debating whether this is a twisted game or a terrifying threat, while battling her simultaneous fear and attraction. The chapter ends with Aly standing frozen in her bedroom, unsure of what to do next. In Chapter 4, Josh realizes he made a mistake leaving a camera and a mask in Aly's room, now seeing her panicked reaction on the live feed. Aly, exhausted after her hospital shift, is startled to find the mask and carefully clears her house with a gun in hand, eventually barricading herself in her bedroom. Josh observes her fear, feeling both guilt and attraction, and reflects on his decisions. He reassures himself that his tracks are recovered digitally, but acknowledges the moral implications of his actions. Josh also notes Aly's strength and resourcefulness, making her more compelling in his eyes. When Aly contacts Josh's online persona directly, the two exchange messages that shift from confrontation to an unexpected connection. Despite the tension, Josh sends Aly an explicit video, testing her response. Aly's reaction reveals a mix of fear and intrigue, pushing Josh to confront his growing obsession and the consequences it might bring. In Chapter 5, Aly discovers the Faceless Man broke into her house and filmed a video in her bedroom. Despite being unnerved, she feels a mix of fear and intense attraction. As she watches the video, her emotions shift, realizing her interest in his masked persona runs deeper than she initially thought. Aly debates how to handle the situation, weighing the danger of his actions against her overwhelming intrigue. Although she prepares herself for self-defense and considers enhancing her home security, she finds herself drawn to the mystery and intensity of the Faceless Man's presence. Ultimately, Aly wrestles with her own feelings of empowerment and vulnerability, questioning her desires and how much she's willing to risk for the thrill of his attention. In Chapter 6, Josh realizes Aly is researching how to locate someone online, which could jeopardize his anonymity. Watching her through her laptop camera, he wrestles with his own behavior and the dangerous nature of his obsession. As Aly begins to suspect she's being watched, Josh sends her cryptic messages, prompting a tense exchange. He's simultaneously thrilled and unsettled by her reactions, struggling to reconcile his desire to maintain control with his growing attachment. Josh ultimately decides to end the video feed as Aly escalates her attempts to protect herself. Despite her mounting anger and determination to uncover his identity, Josh remains captivated by the situation, determined to continue engaging with her, even as their cat and mouse game becomes riskier. In Chapter 7, Aly struggles with the conflicting emotions stirred up by the faceless man's escalating presence in her life. After installing her security system, she spends her shift checking for any unusual activity, only to see videos of animals and neighbors rather than him. Despite her anger and lingering fear over his intrusion, she can't stop herself from watching his latest social media post. When he likes her comment and starts following her account, Aly is thrust into the center of online attention, making her both a target of jealousy and more entwined with him. Her feelings remain conflicted. Part of her wants to reject him, while another part is drawn to the intensity he represents. As she juggles work stress and her own growing fascination, she's forced to confront the unsettling question, why can't she simply tell him to leave her alone? In Chapter 8, Aly confronts Josh in her car, holding a gun to his side while directing him to drive her home. Despite her anger over his previous intrusions, she can't entirely resist her curiosity about him. Josh, trying to maintain control, reveals small gestures of care, like turning on her seat heater and providing snacks, aimed at earning her trust. As they drive through snowy streets, tensions rise, blending her simmering frustration with his calculated attentiveness. Throughout the journey, Josh internally battles his obsessive longing for Aly, who, despite her guarded demeanor, starts to show subtle signs of intrigue. Their interactions reflect a dangerous mix of attraction, manipulation, and unresolved conflict, setting the stage for their complicated dynamic to deepen further. In Chapter 9, Aly stitches up the faceless man's hand after accidentally stabbing him during a moment of passion. They return to her house, where she uses her emergency medical supplies to clean and suture the wound despite being out of practice. While performing the procedure, Aly reflects on her complicated feelings toward him, caught between lingering anger and undeniable attraction. He silently endures the discomfort, and their odd, tense dynamic softens slightly as she realizes he's not as dangerous as she initially feared. The chapter ends with Aly puzzling over her growing connection to this mysterious figure and questioning her own judgment, setting the stage for their relationship to deepen in unexpected ways. In Chapter 10, Josh prepares for Aly's visit by setting up his laptop, opening the windows, and adjusting the temperature in the apartment to cover his tracks. He reflects on his past, particularly his strained relationship with his father and the measures he took to protect his roommate Tyler from a toxic ex. When Aly arrives, she's visibly affected by Josh's appearance and demeanor, though unaware of his dual identity. Josh cleverly sets up a fake hacking scenario to help Aly track her stalker, all while trying to dispel her suspicions and keep his true role hidden. Their banter shifts into a friendly, flirtatious exchange, highlighting their growing connection. After she leaves, Josh watches Aly on a security feed and reflects on her resilience and dedication as a nurse. The chapter concludes with Josh rushing to see her, eager to continue their unusual and complicated relationship. In Chapter 11, Aly becomes certain that Josh is the faceless man. Though some details like his gloves and demeanor raise her suspicions, she decides to play along and confirm her theory later. After leaving Josh's place, she plans her next move, even picking up a tracking device. Aly wrestles with her growing attraction to Josh, admiring his looks and appreciating their easy connection. She fantasizes about their chemistry and dreams of more intimate encounters, all while scheming ways to prove his double identity. Despite her lingering doubts, Aly's resolve strengthens, fueled by her fascination and desire to unravel the mystery surrounding the man she believes is both her stalker and the one who might fulfill her darkest cravings. In Chapter 12, Josh realizes he may have pushed Aly too far with their last encounter, as she seemed emotionally drained after a long shift. Despite his concerns, he reflects on how deeply satisfied he felt being with her both physically and emotionally. Josh watches Aly through the hidden camera as she showers and later sneaks a tracking device into his backpack. Instead of confronting her, he turns the tables with a playful prank, leading Aly to find a pattern on the tracker's trace that spells LOL. Aly, aware she's being watched, calls Josh out, threatening to DNA test his clothing for proof of his identity. However, Josh remains confident he's outsmarted her yet again. The chapter underscores Josh's complex feelings for Aly, blending his calculated schemes with genuine affection as their high-stakes game of trust and deception continues. In Chapter 13, Aly visits her hospital's forensic lab, hoping to expedite DNA testing on hair samples and bandages related to Josh's identity. Despite the lab's busy schedule, her colleague Vern agrees to help. Meanwhile, Aly reflects on her growing feelings for Josh, struggling to separate her emotional attachment from their recent encounters. At work, Aly overhears that a wealthy suspect accused of rape is receiving medical treatment in the ER. Unable to contain her anger, she volunteers to treat him but quickly realizes the man is manipulative and unrepentant. After an unsettling encounter, she confronts his predatory behavior, but his outbursts prompt an HR meeting, where she receives a cautionary warning. The chapter concludes with Aly attempting to move on, only to face a trauma patient whose injuries trigger painful memories of her mother's death. Aly finds herself emotionally overwhelmed, unable to reconcile her past with the present. In Chapter 14, Josh notices that Aly seems deeply unsettled and decides to check on her. Through security footage, he watches her encounter with Brad at the hospital and becomes increasingly worried about her well-being. Although she initially insists she's fine, her lifeless expression and abrupt departure from work suggest otherwise. Josh messages Aly, urging her not to drive herself home, and later follows her to ensure she's safe. Once at her house, he confronts her, and Aly eventually confides that a recent patient reminded her of her late mother, who died in a car accident while teaching Aly to drive. Overwhelmed by guilt, Aly blames herself for the accident and struggles to cope with the emotional burden. Josh comforts her, reassuring her that the accident wasn't her fault and encouraging her to prioritize her own well-being. As their bond deepens, Josh commits to supporting her through this difficult time. In Chapter 15, Aly processes her growing feelings for Josh after he comes to her aid during a vulnerable moment. Overwhelmed by the intensity of their connection and the gestures Josh has made to support her, she realizes she's no longer just entertaining a casual encounter. Josh's willingness to show up, comfort her, and provide stability contrasts sharply with the unreliable relationships she's had in the past. Despite her initial fear of his intensity, Aly begins to trust his intentions and accept her own desire for something more meaningful. Their bond deepens as Josh demonstrates his commitment not just through words, but through actions that leave no doubt about his care and dedication. As they share this moment of understanding, Aly decides to take a chance on their relationship, knowing that vulnerability and trust will be key to moving forward together. In Chapter 16, Josh and Aly wake to an alarm signaling a break-in attempt at Aly's home. Josh, already vigilant, realizes someone is covering the camera feed. Fearing the worst, he grabs a gun and insists Aly stay locked in her room, though she defies him. The intruder is revealed to be Bradley Bloom, the same man Aly confronted at the hospital. Discovering Bradley's prepared kill kit, Josh and Aly quickly realize he planned to harm her. Josh and Aly decide not to involve the police, fearing the repercussions if the body were traced back to them. Instead, they prepare to drop Bradley at his last victim's family farm, where he would likely face justice. However, upon arriving, they discover Bradley has suffocated in the bag. The chapter ends with Josh horrified by the unintentional death, while Aly tries to steady him with dark humor, showing her resilience in the face of the grim outcome. In Chapter 17, Aly and Josh are driving back into the city after Brad's unexpected death. Josh struggles with the weight of his actions, questioning how he can feel no remorse for killing a man. Aly reassures him that Brad's demise removed a dangerous predator and argues that justice is not always served through conventional means. Their discussion reveals Aly's family connections to the mob and her plan to seek help from her uncle Nico, a cleaner who can ensure Brad's body is handled discreetly. As they drive, Josh expresses doubt about his own morality and fears that killing was his fate, while Aly insists he is nothing like Brad. Despite their tense circumstances, the two share a tender moment when Josh asks Aly to be his girlfriend. She accepts, and their deepening relationship provides a much-needed reprieve from the stress of their situation. In Chapter 18, Aly and Josh arrive at Nico's Italian villa seeking help to handle the Brad situation. Despite initial suspicion, Nico lets them in without verification, highlighting family loyalty. Josh grows uneasy about Nico's mob connections and fears being recognized. The situation becomes tense when Aly bluntly reveals they have a dead body in the trunk. Nico is alarmed and calls in his sons to deal with the problem. Greg, Aly's cousin, takes Aly to the family's garage for car cleaning, leaving Josh with Nico and his older sons to explain what happened. Josh recounts Brad's break-in, their struggle, and the unintentional death, prompting Nico to dispatch his sons to secure Brad's car and clean Aly's house. Tensions rise as the group debates the best way to handle Brad's digital records, with Josh offering his hacking skills to avoid leaving evidence. However, as they drive to the site, they're alarmed to find police already present, putting their plan and Josh's safety in jeopardy. In Chapter 19, Aly deals with the fallout of the previous events while juggling a series of stressful and bizarre tasks. After cleaning up at the auto body shop, she transports Fred to Josh's apartment, feeling uneasy about the mafia's involvement and their likely demands for repayment. Her fear intensifies when a passing police car triggers a moment of panic. Once at Josh's place, Aly is met by Tyler, who offers her coffee and casually confirms details about Josh's father, the notorious Ken doll killer. Tyler's explanations help Aly understand Josh's traumatic past and ease her initial fears about his character. Aly begins to see Josh's unusual habits and protective tendencies in a more sympathetic light, recognizing their shared struggles. The chapter concludes with Josh's safe return and the pair expressing relief to be back together, ready to face whatever comes next. In Chapter 20, Josh reflects on his transformation, realizing he's not like his father and never was. Aly's acceptance and encouragement help him shift his perspective and embrace the idea that he's capable of love and trust. Their connection deepens as Aly's vulnerability and strength inspire Josh to let go of past fears. As their bond strengthens, Josh acknowledges the dynamic in their relationship. Aly's need to relinquish control in intimate moments and his desire to protect and cherish her. This mutual understanding solidifies their partnership, allowing Josh to fully commit to the present and leave his father's shadow behind. The chapter ends with Josh feeling a renewed sense of hope and purpose, ready to build a future with Aly. In Chapter 21, Aly and Josh return to her cleaned-up house, where Aly struggles with growing feelings for Josh while wrestling with the aftermath of recent events. Her cousin Junior awaits them at her house, confirming that her mob-connected family has taken steps to handle Brad's body and vehicle, although he refuses to reveal details. Junior explains that Josh's hacking skills are still needed to access Brad's computer remotely. While Aly insists on going with Josh, Junior agrees only if she stays in the van. Junior also informs Aly that she owes her Uncle Nico monthly family dinners as repayment for his help, a condition she reluctantly accepts. Despite the tension and logistical planning, Aly finds comfort in Josh's presence, confident that they can handle whatever challenges come next. In Chapter 22, Josh and Aly join a 6-man crew to retrieve Brad's data before police obtain a search warrant. Upon arriving at Brad's house, complications arise. The backup generator reactivates the security system, floodlights illuminate the yard, and the team discovers decomposing bodies hidden under cat litter in the basement. Josh successfully logs into Brad's computer and begins erasing traces of Aly, but Brad's parents arrive unexpectedly. Realizing they're likely planning to destroy evidence, Josh locks himself in the office and extracts all data from the computer. Hearing the parents approaching, he escapes out the window, injuring himself in the process. Aly helps him flee into the woods. Before leaving, Josh triggers the house alarm, giving police the legal grounds to enter without a warrant. His quick thinking ensures that the authorities will uncover the bodies and Brad's incriminating files, leaving the Bloom family's cover-up in jeopardy. In Chapter 23, Aly and Josh escape through the snowy woods after setting off the alarm in Brad's house. Their tense flight is marked by freezing conditions, deep snow, and Josh's evident injuries from his earlier fall. Despite their discomfort, they evade detection by nearby police and continue toward their planned meeting point. Junior, still in contact through their communication devices, manages to guide them to safety in a waiting SUV. As they drive away, Junior updates them that the police discovered Brad's basement bodies, causing Brad's parents to cooperate fully. Meanwhile, Josh's quick thinking appears to have successfully implicated Brad and diverted attention away from Aly. With their immediate crisis seemingly resolved, the couple's focus shifts to recuperating from the night's harrowing ordeal and addressing the trust challenges stemming from Aly's repeated choices to defy Josh's instructions. In Chapter 24, Josh and Aly return home after a harrowing night and try to recover. Josh downplays his injuries despite feeling battered from head to toe. The two take a moment to reconnect in the shower, where Aly worries about his health, noting his bruised ribs and shoulders. They discuss the events at Brad's house and their lingering fears about unresolved issues, like Junior's knowledge of the investigation and the unknown actions of Aly's mob-connected relatives. While Josh tries to reassure her that insider information from corrupt cops could be helpful, Aly feels uneasy about relying on such methods. They both realize they'll need to trust Nico's family to keep their involvement hidden. Despite their physical and emotional strains, they lean on each other for comfort, postponing any serious discussions or decisions until after they've eaten and rested. In Chapter 25 centers on Aly and Josh's intense and intimate power dynamic. Aly awakens in her bedroom, bound to the headboard and surrounded by the deep red light often associated with Josh's masked alter ego. Initially startled and disoriented, she quickly realizes that Josh is putting their previously discussed fantasies into action. As Josh pushes Aly to confront her fears and boundaries, she experiences a heightened mixture of desire and vulnerability, allowing her to trust him fully despite her initial apprehension. Throughout the scene, Josh maintains control while ensuring Aly feels safe and cared for. By the end, the two emerge from their room with a deeper emotional bond, having navigated their fantasies and reaffirmed their feelings for one another. In Chapter 26 revolves around Josh and Aly navigating a tense family dinner at Nico's house. 3 weeks after the Brad incident, Josh and Aly have bolstered their home security. At dinner, Aly confronts Nico about the ongoing investigation, discovering that the police suspect Brad was inside the house that night. Nico reassures them that no evidence points back to them, and he outlines the measures taken to keep them off the police's radar. Despite Nico's efforts, tension between Josh and Nico escalates. Josh challenges Nico's attempts to intimidate him, using his hacking skills to level the playing field. By the end, Josh and Aly reaffirm their commitment to each other, expressing their love and considering a fresh start elsewhere if their safety is ever at risk. This chapter solidifies their bond and sets the stage for potential new beginnings. Epilogue: Aly and Josh engage in a playful and intense chase through the forest as part of their ongoing, adventurous relationship. Despite her initial lead, Aly eventually finds herself cornered and caught by Josh, who had been steadily closing in. Their game reaches a steamy conclusion, with Josh pinning Aly down and claiming victory in their consensual role-playing scenario. Afterward, they share a heartfelt moment where Josh proposes marriage. Aly enthusiastically agrees, thrilled by the love, partnership, and excitement they share. On their way back to their Airbnb, they find their cabin in chaos thanks to their mischievous kittens, Fred and Maud. The scene wraps up with a humorous exchange about future children and a sense of contentment in their dynamic, chaotic, but deeply loving relationship.